Hello everyone, today we are going to discuss chapter 1 of class 6 from civics book, and its title is Understanding Diversity. So let's understand diversity first of all. What do you mean by diversity? To explain this, I would like to ask you one question. Can you tell me the names of a few fruits which are available in market? So you can tell about banana, you can tell about papaya, then you can tell about watermelon, you can tell about peach. So these different fruits are there. So this is variety of fruits. Variety, everybody understands that what is variety. Variety means to have different type of things. Similarly, this variety and diversity are almost one and same thing. And in your chapter, it has been discussed that in India we have diversity of religions, diversity of languages, diversity of everything. So India is full of diversity, and that only we are going to discuss. I hope this meaning of diversity is clear to you. Diversity means variety. So here, if you look around, you can see different faces belonging to different religions. Somebody is Hindu, somebody is Muslim, Christian, Sikh, or maybe Buddhist or a Jaini. So you can find people belonging to different religions around you. You can find people belonging to different regions. You can find people those who have different cultures. So this difference of things, that is variety, and India is lucky to have so much of variety of everything, and because of this only our lives have been enriched. We are feeling happy to every day see different kind of people, to interact with them, and to enjoy what kind of different foods they are enjoying. To we can find about their culture and their religion. So because of this diversity only, India has become very interesting place to live in. So in this chapter we will try to understand what is diversity and how can there be unity in diversity. So that is really very important to know that India is a diverse country. India is full of diversity, but there is a unity in diversity in India, and that matters a lot, and that is only the special thing about India. If four students in a class are asked to draw a portrait, so they are likely to draw differently because everybody has his or her own style of drawing. So this way we differ in many other things also. We are using different languages. Even in your class you can find example, somebody must be speaking Haryanvi, somebody must be speaking Punjabi, Gujarati, Kannada, etc. They must have their different culture, following different festivals. They must be from different regions, somebody from Kerala, somebody from Haryana, somebody from Punjab, somebody from Assam, etc. And they must be of different religions for sure. I also have seen in classes students from different religions, and their color also must be, there can be variety of color also. Some people, some are brown, some are black, some are very fair, white colored people also you can find. So there is so much of variety. If I ask you what you like to wear when you go outside your house, which language you speak at home, which sport you like the most, which books you like to read, do you think the answers are going to be same? No, there can be different answers from different students. Some answers even can match, because maybe some of your choices match. Three students may like the same game like cricket or football, but most of the answers will be different. Somebody must be liking to wear kurta, somebody like to wear jeans and top. So this way everybody has his or her own choice and style to do things, and this is only known as diversity. Here one example is given in your book Making Friends under this title. You think it is very easy to make friends with people who don't look like you. Suppose you are living in a city, you have a good house and you are well educated, and you have a very high standard of life. You think you are going to be friends with the children who are given in photograph? No, it's not so easy. Before becoming friends with anyone, first you feel like you have same choice or same style or same standard. So that kind of things generally you consider before making somebody friends. But in your book, this is one example is given where two boys are there of same age and they both have same name. One is Samir Ek. In your book, it is mentioned like Ek, and another is Samir Do. Do, Do. So this Samir Do is a small boy who is wearing ragged clothes and who sells newspapers on Janpat crossing. Where roadway on the roads, some crossings are there, red lights and green lights are there. So every time whenever there is a red light, then Samir Ek, who is the narrator of the story, Samir Ek is telling this story. So he used to stop on the red light and then he would find Samir Do selling newspaper. One day Samir Ek stopped there and asked this Samir Do, asked the newspaper seller boy that give me Hindi newspaper. The boy was so surprised. You want a Hindi newspaper? You know how to read Hindi? Then Samir one asks, why are you so surprised? I know Hindi. I study Hindi as subject in my school. So this small boy who was uneducated, illiterate, he asks this Samir Ek, uh, what is subject? So how will you explain what is subject? Before Samir Ek could explain what is subject, then the red light became green and then he had to go, and so they could not discuss much. Here in this story, basically they are trying to show how they became friends, what were the circumstances and then how they got separated. That's why these little bit things are mentioned in your book, just to make your understanding clear about variety and diversity. So every day this now became very common happening, that every day he would be standing there on the red light and they would be talking. Then during this discussion only they came to know that both of them have same name, that is Samir. So this boy who was a student who is narrating the story, he said, I am Samir Ek and you are Samir Do. So Samir Do then during talks only, Samir Do told him that when I was a small child, since then only I have been selling newspapers. Earlier I would be selling with my mother, but now here I am selling these newspapers alone. My mother now lives in Meerut, that is in Uttar Pradesh. Then they shook hands also with each other and they became friends. When the day they shook hands, Samir Ek was telling that I could feel the warmth of his hand. So this was the event when he felt some sort of love and affection for the person. When you shake hands with somebody and you feel warmth of the hand, it means you are getting close to that person. One day Samir Do was not happy and Samir Ek asked him, dear friend, why are you so sad today? Then he told that my mother lives in Meerut and there are riots. You know riots. Riots means dange. Danga fasad, people killing each other. So he told that my mother, we are Muslims and in Meerut there are riots. Maybe riots are related to Hindus and Muslims. Sometimes this happen in our country. So he was very much worried about his mother. Next day onwards, Samir Ek, whenever he came to red light, he never found his friend there selling the newspapers. He was missing. So Samir Ek then at the end of the story says that I don't know where is my friend now, where he has gone, what has happened to him. So basically here this story is told to tell, just to explain the difference of these two boys, that how they were totally different and how they became friends. So if I ask you, in what ways these were different, Sameer, Ek and Do, how they were different, and do you really think that because of these differences they could not become friends? No, differences did not stop them from becoming friends. They could become friends. So let us discuss what kind of differences were there among between these two boys. There was difference of language. One could speak English and Sameer Do could speak Hindi only. Religion was also different. Sameer Ek was Hindu, Sameer Do was Muslim. They had different cultures. There was difference of education as well. One was educated, another was uneducated. There was difference of wealth also. One was rich, another was poor. So in spite of these differences they became friends. Maybe these differences only motivated them to be friends. They must have thought that let us be friends with different unique persons, so that also can motivate somebody to become friend. The last difference which we have discussed there, that Sameer Ek was very rich and Sameer Do was poor. This difference is called inequality, means they were not equal in status, they were not equal wealth wise. So how does this inequality come? This is also a question. When we all human beings are created by God, we have two hands, two feet, we can work. Then how it happened that some of us are poor and some of us are rich? So this is explained here, that in the beginning, due to that Varna system, they did not have any access to resources. Varna system is like in Indian society, we had four Varnas, four caste like structures, like Brahmins and Kshatriyas, warrior class, those who used to fight wars. Others were Vaishyas. Vaishyas were traders, their job was to do trade. Brahmins' job was to study the books and to spread education. Kshatriya's job was to fight wars and to protect the country. And then fourth was Shudras. These Shudras, their job was to serve, only to serve these three Varnas, three categories of people. So they did not have access to resources in the same way as Kshatriyas, Brahmins and Vaishyas. A Shudra could not go for trade and earn money. Shudra could not be part of army. Shudra could not get salary like him. Shudra could not read books, and Shudra could not become a teacher. So Shudras were like, these barbers or cobblers or potters, many different kind of, some maybe sweepers and all that. So they belong to the Shudra category, and these people were not allowed to change their occupation. So then this Varna system, this Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, this later on got converted into caste system. Okay, so these now we have different castes. Earlier there were only four: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudras. So this caste system only created so much of inequality, and under this, these people were not allowed to change their occupation. So they had to be satisfied whatever they were earning. So this way these people kept getting poorer and poorer, and they kept getting rich and richer day by day. So this way so many equalities came in the society. Some people became very rich and some became very poor. So this is how we explain this difference in status and wealth. What does diversity add to our lives? Very simple question and very simple answer. Anybody can tell. Due to diversity only we are able to enjoy different kinds of foods. Just imagine if there were only dal, dal chapati. How would you have enjoyed your life? Your life would become a hell. always eating dal and roti. So because of this diversity only we are able to enjoy different foods, different fruits, different lifestyles, different languages, and we can celebrate different festivals like Eid, Holi, Diwali, Dashera, and Christmas, etc. Okay, and because of diversity only we are able to read different storybooks. There are some stories about the ghost, some stories about angels, some of the stories are about farmers, some are about soldiers, etc. So writers of these stories could get ideas from diversity itself. That if somebody has not seen any diversity, somebody is living near a cat and he has pet this cat, so he would be writing story about cat only. Somebody has a buffalo, he hasn't seen any other animal, so you think he would be writing story for you full of animals? In all his stories you will find a buffalo. So whatever different kind of things are there with us in the society, in our surroundings, that only motivate us to write different stories, and because of this only we are able to enjoy these different kind of things. Okay, so let us talk about diversity in India. In India, there is so much diversity, there is no doubt in that. We have different languages, we have different religions, Hindu, Muslim, Christians, Jainism is there, Buddhism is there, we have different festivals which we have discussed just now. But if you see very closely, no doubt that Muslims have their own religion, culture, language, Hindus have their own religion, culture, their own festivals. But if you see very closely, there is unity in this diversity. This I want to explain. Suppose we claim that my religion is different. Hindus are claiming we are different, Muslims are claiming we are different, Christians are claiming that they are different. But if you see, everybody is doing same thing. Each and every religion says that you should pray to God. Everybody is praying. No doubt they are praying in different manners. Like they are praying somebody by joining hands, somebody by lighting a candle, somebody by putting head on the ground. Everybody gets married. Maybe he is a Hindu, he is Muslim, he is Christian. Everybody gets married, only the way they get married is different. Somebody takes 7 circles around the fire, somebody says Kabul hai, and then only they get married. Somebody goes to church and gets married, but everybody gets married. This is similarity. In spite of diversity we have unity and similarity of many things. Everybody is wearing dress. None of the religion is saying that you don't have to wear clothes. No doubt we have different styles of dress. This way each and every religion, culture, they have their own dresses. We greet each other. That is also very common thing. Hindus also, when they meet, they can say Jai Shiv Shankar, they can say Namaste, they can say Pranam. Sikh can say Sat Sri Akal, Muslims can say Assalamu Alaikum, and Christians can say hi, hello. But everybody is greeting each other when they meet. So this is also similarity in spite of diversity. Cooking rice or other foods, we can have different styles. Somebody must be making pulao, somebody must be making biryani with rice, somebody must be making khichdi only. So this way each and every religion is doing same things but in different manners. How do we explain diversity? Let us discuss about this. In ancient times, people traveled on foot. Nowadays, we are traveling by cars, etc. They often went from one place to another, maybe for trade purpose, maybe for escaping from floods and famines and droughts. Famine means akal. When there is nothing to eat, that is known as akal. Drought means sukha. When there is no water available. Flood, so everybody knows. So when such kind of natural calamity occur, people leave one place and they go to other place and settle there. Sometimes they went from one place to another in search of food. They settled in different places, and when they go to different places, they adopted new styles. of that place, and they also try to do old things as well. Means somebody from Haryana has gone to Kerala and settled there, and he has adopted Kerala style of life, but he is trying to follow some of the things from Haryana as well, some of the traditions of Haryana. So this way these two new and old mix up and create a new kind of thing, and this mixture also creates diversity. Histories of places show how influence of different cultures have shaped life and culture of that place. So, thus regions became diverse because of their histories. There, this I am going to explain how these regions became different because of their histories. Suppose at one place Christians came and they started doing trade and they settled there. So because of this reason only, in that area many people must have accepted some of the things from Christians, and Christians also must have adopted some of the things of local people. So this way a new culture must have developed. So this way history of any place also tells how the things changed after so many years. Diversity also comes when people adapt their lives to geographical area also. Like you have gone to Kerala and now there you can find that moderate kind of climate, humidity is there. So your clothing style you start wearing which is suitable to that place. This way also some variety takes place, some diversity takes place. Okay, so if you are living in coastal area, you will need to wear different kind of clothes. If you are living in mountainous areas, then you need to, because these are generally cold regions, you need to wear woolen clothes, and you need to have different way of growing agriculture, terrace farming, etc. In coastal regions, you may have different lifestyle. So because of that region, particular region where you are living, that also affects your lifestyle. Living in the cities is totally different than living in the villages. They have their fields to work, but city people have to go to offices. These village people, they have their carts to go to fields, or they have their tractors. But city people must have their scooters, or they must have their cars, etc. So this way at a place where you are living, that also affects your lifestyle. We can understand how historical and geographical factors influence the diversity of a region. So let us try to understand this by comparing Ladakh and Kerala. Ladakh is in the northern part of India. It is a desert, cold desert. Very little agriculture is practiced there, because there is so much snow, you cannot grow your crops over there. Very less rainfall is there in this region, and most of the part of year it is covered with snow. So there are very less trees. Water is also very less because everything is frozen. So generally they melt snow and use it in their daily life as water. In summers it gets melt automatically. In winters they must be boiling the snow and then converting it into water and then using it for their daily uses. Sheep and goats are reared in Ladakh, and these goats, they give pashmina wool, which is very precious. This pashmina wool is very precious. They sell it to the traders, and from this wool only pashmina shawls are woven in Kashmir. Mainly in Kashmir pashmina shawls are woven, and these are very famous and expensive as well. People here, they eat meat, cheese and butter. Each family owns some goats, cows and ewes. This is also like wild buffalo kind of animal. Though it is a desert, but it attracted traders as it had many passes leading to Tibet. Tibet was also a very important place at that time, and in Ladakh there are many passages which lead to Tibet. So many caravans carried textiles and spices. Caravans are a group of maybe carts, bullock carts or horse carts, in which these traders will keep their things and go to sell to other places. And textile is cloth, spices are also from India. So from this Ladakh region, these caravans were going to Tibet to deliver this cloth and spices. They used to take raw silk also and carpets. This is silk cloth here, very soft one, as you can see from the structure. And carpets, this is carpet. So this type of things also they used to traders used to take to Tibet. Buddhism, which had been which was born in India, that also reached Tibet via Ladakh only. And Ladakh is also known as Little Tibet because many features are similar. 400 years ago, Islam came in this region. Now they have enough Muslim population. It has a very rich oral tradition of songs and poems. Means these people who are living in Ladakh, they sing many songs and poems, and it is tradition there to sing songs from the past. There is one Tibetan national epic that is known as Kesar Saga. National epic, national anthem, we have national song, national anthem, national epic. Epic means a long poem, very long poem. So it is national epic and it is of Tibet, but this is also sung in Ladakh with people with so much love. And both Muslims and Buddhists, they are always singing this with affection. This shows their unity and their love for their past and culture. So here what are they trying to say? That like if you take example of Ladakh, the different its history tells how it got, how different religious communities came and they started living in this region, and then they got mixed up with each other. And this way how there was diversity and there was unity and how it was influenced. Let us talk about Kerala. It is in the southwest corner of India. This everybody knows. Where is the location of Kerala? You can imagine here. This is your Kerala. So it is one side there is sea. Here this is water, and here there are hills in this region. So it is located between sea and hills. Pepper can be found here. Cloves also, and cardamom. Pepper is Kali Mirch. Cloves, which we are using for tea. This is spice. Generally in India we use in tea. Cardamom is known as ilaichi. This is also used in tea in India. In other countries, so they must be using for different purposes. And cloves in Hindi, cloves are known as long. So these are found in Kerala because these are grown in the hills in this region. Because of these spices, many traders came to this area in past. They belonged to they were Jews. They were like, their religion was Judaism. Those who follow Judaism, they are known as Jews. So Jewish people came here. Arab traders, Muslims traders came there. And these Arab traders were first people to come in this region for trade purpose, and they even settled there. They mixed up with the people, they got married with local girls, and till date they are living there. And they must have even forgot about their original place. For thousands of years they have been living here. Then here it is mentioned that apostle of Christ came here. His name was Saint Thomas. Apostle means disciple. When Jesus Christ, before his crucifixion, he has appointed 12 apostles, disciples, and they were given this responsibility to spread Christianity to different parts of the world. So one apostle, Saint Thomas, came here about 2000 years ago, and he is responsible for spreading Christianity in this region. Many Arab traders also settled here. Ibn Battuta traveled 700 years ago. He was a great traveler who have traveled different places, and then he had written one book. Its name is Rihla. This is photograph of Ibn Battuta, and in his book he has mentioned that Muslims are living in this region and they are a very respectable community. Vasco da Gama was responsible for discovering sea route to India. People in Kerala practice different religions such as Judaism. As I have told you that Jewish traders came, so they settled there, so they are practicing Judaism. Their religion of Jews is Judaism. Arab traders came, they were Muslims, so now you can find Islam in Kerala. Apostle came there, Saint Thomas, he started Christianity, so now you can find Christianity. Hindus were already there, so you can find Hinduism. So because of the history, you can see that now we can see different religions. People belonging to different religions in Kerala now are living. Even Buddhism is there, and people, some you can find a few people following Buddhism in that region. Chinawalas also are used. Chinawalas are fishing nets which exactly look like Chinese fishing nets, and because of this reason they are known as Chinawala. These look like Chinese fishing nets to catch fish. They use one utensil also for frying, and that utensil is known as China chatti. They have rice, fish, vegetables, they eat them, and here geographical features are different, but the history of both the regions has seen similar cultural influences. Both regions means Kerala as well as Ladakh. You can find in Ladakh also Muslims came, Christianity came, Buddhism came, and how it spread. Now you can find people belonging to these religions living in that region. Same about Kerala. In Kerala also Arab traders came, so you can find Muslims. These Jewish traders came, so you can find Jew people. Now you can find Muslims, Buddhists. So because of these historical influences, you can find so much diversity in both the regions. Both these Ladakh and Kerala, they have some influences from Chinese as well as Arabs. Arab people are known as Arabs. Geography of Kerala allowed spices cultivation here, but geographical location of Ladakh allowed wool production. See, occupation is different, but historical influences are same, and because of historical influences you can find some similarity in these regions, that both have Christians, Muslims, Hindus and Buddhist population as well. So we can say that history and geography of a place influences its culture. Even in present we move to different places, we get adapted to location and culture. Even in our own neighborhoods, we live close to people from several communities. Some Muslim must be living in our neighborhood, then we can interact with him on daily basis. We can see the variety, we can see the differences, and we can learn new things from them. We can exchange ideas with these people. Unity in diversity. This is very important to understand that in India, in so much diversity, we have so much of unity also. Here it is told in your book that India's diversity is its strength. It is not its weakness. That no doubt we have people belonging to different religions, different festivals, different caste, cultures, but we are always united. Freedom struggle is one example. When Britishers were controlling India at that time, freedom fighters, they had different backgrounds. Some was Muslim, somebody was Hindu, and even you can find Zoroastrians people who were freedom fighters like Dada Bhai Naroji. So they made all these people who belong to different religions, they made combined action plan. How to fight with the Britishers, how to throw them out of India. So they showed their unity, they made these plans, and they came together, they fought together, They were put into inside the jail together. But Britishers were of the view that because there is so much diversity in India, we can use this diversity, we can divide them, and then we can rule them. We can divide and rule. This was their policy. But we people of India, we have shown the Britishers that no doubt we look different, but we are very strong when we are united, and then we defeated them, and now India is a free country. In your book there is one song given. That song was sung after Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Massacre means killing so many people together. Okay, so many people were killed in Jallianwala Bagh, that is in Amritsar, and people were sitting there discussing some matter during British rule. And they had no guns and weapons. They were simply peacefully sitting and discussing things. But General Dyer, who was a British, he reached there with his soldiers and gave them order. He closed the exit door of that park garden, and he ordered them to fire. So thousands of people were killed in that. Many Hindus also got killed, many Muslims and many Sikhs. So this song generally, there is one popular line in this song that blood of Hindus and Muslims was shed, everything became red. So this song itself shows that Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs, they were totally united against the British rule. And this song was sung to honor the martyrs. Martyrs means shaheed, those who were killed in that Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So here you can see in the photo, this is the person, his name is Udham Singh, Shaheed Udham Singh, and he is famous because, as I was telling you, that General Dyer was there, General Dyer, who had given order to kill these people, to fire at these people. So Shaheed Udham Singh's father also was there, and when he grew up, then he went to England and killed General Dyer. So here I want to tell you that there are so many songs and symbols that emerged during freedom struggle, and these songs and symbols, they serve as reminders to our past, and these show that we have so much respect for the diversity. Our national flag also was used for just to show our unity and to protest against the British. Everywhere, maybe North and South India, all parts of India, they were using this national flag as their symbol of protest against the Britishers. Jawaharlal Nehru, first Prime Minister of India, has written one book, he has written one book, Discovery of India. In that book, he has told that this unity of India is not something which is imposed from outside. This is within us. It has very deep roots, and it shows that we are very tolerant people, and we have different beliefs and customs, and we are very tolerant towards each other. And we have always acknowledged and encouraged diversity. We have never tried to curb the diversity. It was Pandit Nehru who has coined this term, unity in diversity. National anthem also describes the unity of India. As in our national anthem, you can find this Punjab, Sindh, Gujarat, Maratha, Dravid, Utkal, Banga, Vindhya, Himachal, Yamuna, Ganga. So this all, it has covered main regions of India, main rivers and mountains, and so this shows unity in diversity. Here your chapter ends. Dear students, I want to tell you how you can enjoy the activity which I have shared in the description of this video. So I want to tell you how you can open that activity and play the game. You can, when this video is being played before you, you will find this kind of scene before you. So at the right corner of the video, this is sign, you will click on this, and when you will click on this, then these links will, after clicking immediately, these links will open before you. If you click any of the links of activity, you will find this page open before you, this, No need to fill any activity code. Simply you click on play. When you will click on play, then again it will ask you to click on play once more. Here you will click, then activity will start playing before you. This question, there are answer, you have to select one option. And if you want to zoom it out, then here you can click here. Then these words will become bigger on the screen. So that's all from my side. Thank you. May God bless you.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also press the bell icon to get the notifications about my latest videos.